Bob Davis here, Lincoln Prep Strength and Speed Coach. I want to welcome you to our webpage here for the 2018-2019 school year for Lincoln Prep. And for our athletes coming into it, there are a few things I want you to kind of get the big picture of what we're about. A little background on myself. I started the Strength and of America program, the Strength and Speed program for kids back in '89 here in Arizona. Prior to that, I was a strength and conditioning coach with Boyd Epley at the University of Nebraska, '85 to '89. But my primary function has always been about longevity in sports for kids, increasing performance, but the bigger part is reducing risk of injury. And at Lincoln Prep, we're bringing that whole program to you. Now, we spent the summer getting our weight room set up. We've got that going. Last year, we introduced our speed and agility program. Now we're bringing the full picture in. So for any of you who have your incoming fifth grade on up here at Lincoln Prep, you'll be able to take advantage of this program for the student athletes. And our main concepts we want to think of is our fifth and sixth graders primarily is just our speed and agility, teaching them how to eat, how to hydrate, which all of our athletes will do originally. When they come into the program, they'll fill out a Lincoln Prep fuel chart. And for that, we want to get an idea of what they're typically doing. So that fuel chart that you can download below, they'll print and they'll bring in on the first day when they come to me in September or whenever they start into the program. And it'll tell me exactly what they typically eat on one day. So I have them fill that in, and there's up to 5 different meals they can put on there, but some of them are only twice a day, some are 3. I want to see what the norm is for them, not, okay, what does Bob recommend? Let's get that on there. I want to see what normal is. Maybe enough. I want to see, number one, are they getting enough calories? How are they spreading it out throughout the day? Are they getting enough protein? Are they hydrating properly? So everything they eat and drink goes down on this paper. Once they do that, they'll go to the part where we send them to the website, calorieking.com. The search bar, they just type in exactly what they had. Peanut butter sandwich, bowl of cereal, eggs, bacon, whatever it is for those meals. Then it'll give them a couple choices on portions, and then it'll tell them exactly where they're at, calories, protein, carbs, and fat. They just fill in the blanks. So when they bring that to me, then I make notes on it, and I'll get it back to them that next week. So they see exactly, okay, where can they make the changes? Because for me, as a student athlete, it's not just about performance, but if they're going to perform well on their academics, their training, their sports, you've got to have the fuel. And like a lot of you parents have been trying to get through to them, and I'm going to work on my end as well to get them that next part. But they've got to eat right. They've just gone 8 to 10 hours without any calories at all. And breakfast, they either have nothing because they're running behind and get to school, or they have a high sugar diet. It can be a bowl of fruit, which is great, but the problem is without protein in there or some of the other complex carbs that we want in there, that's why an hour later in school they're falling asleep, having a hard time concentrating. Or you may notice that as parents at work going on. So we teach them how you can get that fuel and get it started the right day. And then what your snack should be and what you should have for lunch and all of that. And I'm never going to tell them you can't have pizza or anything like that. But moderation is a key. Eating regular makes a big difference. The next part we take a look at all of them, they're going to learn is what's restful sleep. Recovery is a big part. It doesn't mean I just take a day off from working out that I'm recovering. It means how you're doing in between those workouts, post-workout. What are you doing prior to it? Not only eating, drinking, hydrating, but at nighttime, are they getting a restful sleep? Are they getting their 8 to 9 hours every night? Not just on the weekends, getting 12 and it averages out. It has to be done on a regular basis. And at nighttime, do they shut the phones off or the computers down, all of that, and getting a restful sleep? Or are they still on there and getting messages back and forth in between? Shut it down, get it down. It's time to rest. That's what they're doing in bed. That's it. Then they're up, they fuel, they get ready, and they're moving into the next day. Next part for me is we're going to find out who's potentially at risk for injury. Knee injuries, for example. This is one of the things that started me years ago because as a young athlete, by 21, I'd already had three shoulder surgeries, but 5 knee surgeries. How we do that is a major problem in fixing these things. So how we jump, how we land, what are we checking for? Strength imbalances, flexibility imbalances. I want the big picture. We're going to try and find out where they're at. On a side note of that, ACL injuries. We ask the kids, even this summer, I do it every year with the kids with conditioning, and most of them are in their 10 to 13 years old. Over 80% of these kids will raise their hand when I say, how many of you know somebody with a knee or ACL injury? We never knew anybody. At 13 years old, we didn't know anybody. Of course, this is 40 years ago, that had ACL problems. Now, a lot of these kids know of somebody that has, and that's terrible. There's over 250,000 ACL injuries in this country every year. And that's our young athletes, our college athletes, and beyond. And when they say 70% of those are non-impact, we can't do anything about somebody comes in and plays football and blows them out from the side of the knee. But how they jump, how they land, they pivot, they're rotating. We're making advances in shoes. Those cleats grip on that ground. But if we haven't taught the mechanics or get strong, flexible, pliable athlete, when they grip and they pivot, what's going to happen? Just destroys them. So we go over a lot of that stuff in our speed training and our strength training and movement and body control. That's a must. So that's big to me, is making sure they stay healthy. Uh, Beyond that point, now let's get into the athletic, the performance of what's going on. So we've got to see that as the kids get involved in it. We've got some that aren't doing any athletics at all, but they want to get in shape and do some things, which is great. But I can tell you, of those kids that come in on that mindset, by the time we finish the end of the year, now they're intrigued. They're building their confidence. They start feeling better. They want to try some more difficult things. They want to get out and compete. They were shy, didn't want to do it. Well, now they've got confidence. That's what we want. Doesn't mean we're after just top super athletes. I want our kids to learn how to build that confidence to get them out. When they get out of school, they can handle themselves, do what they need to do. But that's why also our program is about personal responsibility. It's their job to make sure they're getting their meals and doing the things they need to do. They're getting their rest. They're doing the stretches that are required. If they're tight, they've got to do extra stuff on their own. They got to practice how they jump and land. I give them homework if they've got poor mechanics until they fix it and they get it where we need it to be. Now, those kids that are in the seventh grade on up, they can take part in our strength training. So now they can take part in the weight room. So now in the weight room, strength is a relative thing. And, I have some that tell me, well, they can't lift until they're, at least 13 and they're fully developed. Well, what 13-year-old boy do you know is fully developed? I mean, a lot of these kids we work with in college, they're still growing and getting bigger. So do you wait until they're done growing at 21, 22 years old? That's ridiculous. So we work on things that are going into it. Also keep in mind, you're worried about putting them under a bar to do a bench press that we may have like a 15 to 25 pound bar or more, depending on what they can do. But I want them to do at least 10 to 12 reps on everything. And yet those same coaches or parents out there tell them they can't lift, tell them it's okay to do push-ups. But if you want the mechanics of push-ups, they're over there, they've got their hands in the wrong position, or they're just pulling it out, or they can't get in and they're uneven. They're stressing their back, they're stressing shoulders. But for some reason that doesn't click, that's a problem because they can only do 2 or 3 good. That's a 2-rep max bench press. Over here, you say it's bad. 2-rep max push-up, you're saying is okay. Well, why? It's max they can do on that joint for 2 reps. We never do anything less than 5 reps on our kids, and that's only as they get a little bit older and get better in the program. So we take a look at some common sense strength training. And back in the mid-'80s, the Pediatrics Association, American College of Sports Medicine, National Athletic Trainers Association, all endorse this. And this is why we're at Nebraska, that they endorse strength training for kids. But that doesn't mean, okay, get out in the garage, grab dad's weights, and let's start pumping it up. There's effective ways to do it. And we don't want to waste time. We're not doing a lot of extra things they don't need to. But let's hit the basics. Let's teach them how to squat correctly, how to move, how to control, how to protect the spine and the body as they go. That's where that whole balance comes from. And we'll test. We do pre and post testings for them as well, so they get to see how they're progressing. But if the reps aren't good, they don't count. And we make sure they're on there. And we never do a 1-rep max test. They're almost always 5 to 10 reps on everything going into it. That's how we'll progress. So in a nutshell, that's kind of what we're doing. We'll have off season. So if they're not involved in athletics at that season, they can start with their off season. The details are down below in the class times for that. If they're in a season, coordinate with your coaches, check with them. We're communicating with the coaches now to get them on a schedule, typically right after school, 2 days a week, probably 325 to 345 or 350. Then they're already warmed up. They go right into their practice and skills and working on it. So they don't have to spend additional time warming up. They're ready. They're set to go. And we've been teaching them more about speed, agility, performance at that point. Usually 4 o'clock is our time 2 days a week that we have our weight training program. Some of them will have that just prior to, and then we do our off-season 4 to 4:55, where we've got our speed agility for those kids not in athletics during that time, or just not athletics in general that want to sign up for that. So all the details are below, or you can check for the link and check with Athletic Director Bradley on all the information stuff going out to it. But make sure they get signed up there. Once they get signed up on there, get paid for the whole school year, it covers the year, whether they're off-season in, it's all inclusive. Then from there, they'll get the fuel chart. They're going to get information. You'll have my email down there. We want to make sure you're involved. Ask questions. Don't wait till later. Tell me right away. And that's why I tell our athletes, I don't want to ever hear, and my knee's bugging me. Well, how long has it been bothering you? Well, 3 weeks. I want to know day one when it starts. Or yesterday it bothered me. What do I do about it? Let's fix some things. Let's talk about it. Maybe some shoe issues. Maybe how they're running. Maybe how they're moving. We're going to work on that because I want them safe. That's our primary goal here. And then we'll build up performance as we go along. So thanks for being a part of the Lincoln Prep Speed program. Our strength programs out there for you as well, the website, all the information. Please ask questions at any time to let me know what's going on. Thanks a lot. We're excited to be here again to kick off the second year for us and take it up a notch for everybody.